Hello. Happy Hope Day. I know it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. So I need you guys to come on. Now, I've been hearing from people like, I'm going to watch. And some of you may watch on replays or, you'll watch on the low and not tell me, but this is a show you do not want to miss. So I need you guys to come on. Do like what I'm doing. I need you to go to, if you're on Facebook, right? Go to hopeMORE Facebook page. That's lowercase HOPE, uppercase MORE, because it only takes a little bit of hope to want more, right? To desire more, to believe more. So go to hopeMORE Facebook page and do me a favor, hit like on this page and share. Share with your friends, family, your groups. Make sure you look at your group rules because I don't want nobody to get cussed out because they put the wrong type of material on their particular page. But I need you to share. We are going to be doing reunions in Junes. I'm calling them ReJUNeions. And so what I'm going to do now is do what I'm asking you to do because, I'm the production of one. I'm going to go to my Facebook page, go to hopeMORE Facebook page and share to my personal page. And I'm just welcoming you guys on. I know it's been a while since I've been posting, but I'm excited about the summer months and the reunions we're going to go through. So I'm going to go ahead. Wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm seeing myself. Yes, I'm sharing to hopeMORE, to Hope Dims. That's me. Yep. Okay, let me make sure I do it right. Yes. Okay, wonderful. I think that posted. Now, if you're on my YouTube channel, please help me. This is one of my summer goals is to get my YouTube channel subscription up. So I need you to click the bell there, so that you'll know every time I come live and share as well on the YouTube channel. Hey, YouTube family. I feel like you may feel that I'm treating you like, I don't know, a redheaded stepchild. And if you're redheaded or a stepchild, please forgive me already. But I just need you guys to know that you are loved. Your mama just don't yet know a lot about technology and I'm taking classes and I'm getting help. So this summer, subscriptions to my YouTube channel are just going to go up and up. So welcome my YouTube channel as well as my Facebook hopeMORE family. Now this is Wednesday and they call Wednesday hump day, but we don't do humps around here, right? So we call this Hope Day. And typically I call it, since it's 5:30, I call it like my little happy hour, but I don't have anything around me, except my Dasani, this drink. And, I have no judgment as to what you may want to drink, but happy Hope Hour, because we are going to take this breather after work and traffic and have a good conversation. So guys, in the month of June, we're going to be dealing with reunions. Yes. Reunions in June. I just came back from my 25th class reunion for Spelman. I had a family reunion scheduled for July that has had to be sort of canceled because of the pandemic. But I love reunions. Do you love reunions? And so I want to do reunions on this show of people that mean something to me. So, if it doesn't mean anything to you, I understand. But also, I think sometimes reconnecting and refreshing your different circles that you've experienced of people throughout your life is really great to reconnect with them, because often you've changed, they've changed, you have a greater insight. And I have to convince like my bestie every 5 years to go to our class reunion, even if she's like, I don't really want to go. What is going to happen? Because it's a great way to see yourself in your contemporaries and see the growth and be inspired. I'm inspired, especially when my reunions are honest, right? And I'm not faking it with anybody. I'm not, saying, people ask me different questions and I try to act grander than my life appears, or I try to play humble pie or something. But when I could just be really honest and connecting, it is so great, because what I realize is like, wow, this person's grown, I've grown. And maybe now, like I'm using my class reunion, for example, maybe now this same person that maybe I lived across the hall from and I didn't understand what they were about, now I see the growth and I'm like, wow, I can learn something from this person. And now I'm reconnecting with them even more since the reunion, because now it's like I see the benefit of the fact that we're connected. We have the same DNA. You went to Spelman, I went to Spelman. We have a similar DNA when it comes to, say, Black women in leadership. So I think in any group that you have had life experiences with, you can learn something from them. So I'm going to check and make sure real quick that I did post on my page. And I thank you guys for coming on. So now, whether you're watching this live or on a replay, I want you guys to get ready. So my first kickoff reunion is an opportunity to reconnect with Jesus-loving LGBTQIA plus sisters and brothers. And I'm gonna have to quiz myself, what do all those initials mean? And I thought about this kickoff based on a conversation I had with my God's children's mother the other day. And I was just like, you know what? That would be fun to reconnect with a group that I would have said 10 years ago, there's no such thing. Or I would have said, like, I don't understand. Like, that's controversial. What would that look like? And my goal is not to be controversial, is actually to understand and listen. And I, like you, have been inundated, right, with some interesting documentaries. And I love, like, say, the Pose television show, or, it's just been so much going on in Pride Month. And this is the first year that I probably have intentionally been open to, like, listening to stories and trying to understand more about a group of people that are in my life, but that area, you would say, can sometimes be taboo to talk about, especially as it relates to Christians, Christianhood, the church. But I thought about some great people, and I reached out to a number of people. But these two brave hearts, I also had the opportunity to serve in ministry with, and I'm gonna bring them on one at a time so they can share their stories. And I just want you guys to give a warm hopeMORE welcome. And I don't care if it's on the replay or you're watching live right now. I need you to give a lot of applause. I need to feel the spirit. I need you to bring that love, because we're hoping more today, right? That we can love better and understand more. I want you to give a great applause to, I'm gonna bring on Mr. Christopher Reed first. Hi, Christopher.
Hello.
Thank you so much, man, for coming on. I so appreciate having you on. And, some people say you should always let the ladies go first, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put, I was going to say age before beauty, but out of the two guests I have tonight, I've known you the longest, I believe, or at least knew of you, because you are both Gators.
Correct.
We both went to University of Florida. And so I think I heard you before I met you, because I heard you singing, I think, at a Black Student Union something. And I'm like, who is this guy? So Chris, I want you, if you wouldn't mind, just tell my hopeMORE family a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Christopher Reed, and I am currently living in Gainesville again. I actually live in Gainesville, Florida. Go Gators. I'm an educator here. I also have a band here, so my love for music is still ever present, and it's probably heightened and strengthened over the years. So I really love what I do. I'm honored to be here. When you asked me, I know you know what reaction you would get, but I was honored to tell my story, honored to answer any questions that some may have, because liberty and freedom is a beautiful thing. I'll just say that for right now.
I love that. It is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. So I love the fact that I got to, like, bring you on first. I'm going to go ahead and bring on Salita, and then I may, like, triple us out. We may be our own biggest audience right now. So if I can get all three of you on the screen, maybe that'll help push the masses to watch. So I'm going to bring on my second guest, but it's not really in hierarchy of any kind of way, because she is my Spelman sister, but I don't know if she would like for me to call her my baby Spelman sister, because I graduated years before her, but I got to see her particularly as a wonderful spoken word artist, like hands down one of the best out there. And also I got to see just her matriculate through Spelman, as well as we served in ministry together in this record label called Destiny Style Records. And I ended up managing that label, but I was in a group called Destiny Praise, and she was in a group called Destinations that was geared a lot towards the college age students in spoken word and hip hop. So I'm gonna bring on Miss Salida Williams.
Hello.
Hi, Salida.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on. So, okay, so you got to introduce yourself to my hopeMORE family.
Okay. Salida
Williams.
Tell
us a little bit about yourself, I should say.
Sure. Salida is my name. And I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up in Baltimore, but I live in Atlanta. I've officially been in Atlanta longer than I was in Baltimore. So I don't know what that says about me, but I guess I'm Southerner, something now.
Yes. Maryland's still the South, even though I understand.
First of all, I believe Baltimore is above the Mason-Dixon line. I think it crosses right through. I don't know if that's true. Somebody said that though. I'm gonna take that.
Because I was like, I know Maryland was a slaveholding state, right? Because
Maryland was technically the South.
Ran away from. Okay.
In modern times, we are influenced by East Coast culture. So let me bring it out. All right.
Okay.
So, IT person by day, and as you mentioned, Hope. Side hustle is writing and performing spoken word, and mom of an amazing 6-year-old. And I think that's it for now. Yeah.
Well, that's a lot. You guys are looking in her face. I know do you still get people thinking you're a teenager?
Yes, I'm way older.
I mean, she's younger than me, but she's older than what she looks. She's grown woman, okay? She got a baby. Yeah, she's worked a couple of IT. Like every time I talk to her or see her or hear about her, I'm like, who's she working for now? This girl's like global IT dominator. I think you could probably work anywhere in the world with all your skill sets. So thank you so much, Salida. Do you still have your podcast? Like I am artist?
Yeah. So I have I put my spoken word and hosting a podcast under an entity called I'm Simply Artistic. You can find it on Instagram, all one word, I'm Simply Artistic. And I did host that podcast for 2 years. I stopped at the top of 2019.
Oh, wow.
But for 2 years I did host, and all the episodes and stuff are still out there. They're on iTunes, they're on SoundCloud. So if you go to my website, which is also imsimplyartistic.com, you can find all of that. You can find videos of my spoken word, links to the podcast, a little bit of artwork. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So, I do think I'm going to change up a little bit of what I was talking about in the beginning. I think I do want to keep a lot of us on the screen at the same time because I'm feeling like a village and not so isolated. And hey, hopeMORE family, I want you guys to know that feel free, whether watching live or in the replays, to comment below. You can even ask questions. It doesn't mean that they're going to be answering the questions, but I think this whole goal that I have in doing all of my ReJUNeions is to have us think, right? I think one of the best things about going to reunions, like I was talking about before, is reflecting on like, how do you think and why do you think that way? Whether it's your family reunion or class reunion or getting together with old friends, getting together with old boyfriends or girlfriends is a great time to be like, wow, how have I grown? What can I learn? So I'm hoping that kind of relief is what happened here. So even if it's just questions for yourself, like what questions you may have, feel free, or to just even let us know what you're thinking as you see this. So this is ReJUNeions, reconnecting with Jesus-loving LGBTQIA plus sisters and brothers. Now, I have a quiz question. Who can identify all the letters and their representations in this long behind LGBTQIA plus moniker? Did
you say moniker?
Well, that's what I'm calling a moniker.
Oh, I mean, I think we probably all could, but it's
okay. Well, you know what? I was going through it and I was like, lesbian, bisexual, gay, trans, queer. And I was like, what is I? And then I like, isn't A ally? I'm not sure. So what's I? If you know what I is, put it in the chat, because I was gonna look it up, but I ran out of time. So that's a question. What is I? And then I figured plus is just the love of anybody. However you get in, fit in. We don't want to leave you out. And these guys were so honest with me, because at first I was like, I want to do like queer nation, queer Christian nation, queer. And I was like, can you say queer? Or is it like, I can't say it, but you can say it? But I was told it was okay for the most part. But listen, what I wanted to do and start off, because hopeMORE, and you guys may or may not know my guest, it is a Christ-centered based projection of what we feel in lifting justice and family and showing the light. And our goal is to have conversation, even countercultural conversation, about things that are happening in the world. And so this is Pride Month. And like I shared with my guests before you guys came on, it's like I've never really focused on Pride. If anything, if I'm being honest, it's like, oh, that devilish parade now is happening, or something, or something flippant. Like, okay, I don't get it. And I probably am embarrassed that that's the kind of stuff I would like comment easily about. But this year I had an opportunity to watch certain documentaries that really hit me to the heart. And or just shows like Pose. They had their finale last week, and a couple of weeks ago, the Pray Tell character went back to his hometown to tell his mom and aunt said he was dying, and he went to his old church, and the pastor is like his first love, and it was just all this stuff. And so of course a church type of scene dealing with that, I was just like, oh my goodness, like what are they gonna say about the church now? And it just started making me think about the type of stories I'm probably a part of that I don't even know I'm a part of, when it comes to the intersection of faith and the whole, like, I hate to say gay movement, because when I'm dealing with people's lives, it's their lives, but the identity of queer Christians as they deal with like their interaction, their intersectionality with their faith. And you two, I don't know about everybody, but you two, I've had pleasure in worshiping and experiencing your ministries, your anointing. Although neither one of you and I have like had a recent gathering of some sort, but it's like, I don't know where they are now, but the Salida I know she loved Jesus. I know that she experienced great commanding opportunities to know God and to share God with others. And that Chris Reed, I know that man is anointed when he sings and he worships. And I know that he loves Jesus. Chris, actually, you and I have very similar background as far as like churchy life, gospel churchiness. I think Salida's was a little different. But, I'm like, I don't know their personal lives. Like, no one knows anything we do behind closed doors. But I'm like, I trust that what I saw in their lives was real. It wasn't fake. And so but I wonder, like, in their journey, how have they dealt with, both sides, even though it's more than two sides to your lives, but both dealing with your sexual orientation, if I can say it that way, and with your faith as Christians, as Jesus loving Christians. And so I didn't know who I should start with, Salida or my boy Chris. I don't know if we should age over beauty again, because y'all both are beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, Chris.
I'll start.
Yes, my first yes too. He was my first yes. I was like, thank you, Chris.
For me, I think that my relationship with Christ is even stronger than it was before, because I'm my authentic self. I'm who I was created to be. And I feel like when you're living a lie, how can you really, really be close to God, as close as you could be, if your whole existence or your presentation is a complete lie?
Wow.
So for me, my relationship is so much more authentic, so much more real, so much more meaningful because I am my true self.
Well, let me go back a little bit in time. Like, not to get to your age or necessarily, but
I'm
you
about to
grew
be
up
50.
in the church. Aren't you a PK like me?
No, I'm not a PK, but
You're not a PK, but you grew up around a lot of preachers in your family and a lot of gospel singers. You grew up, I call it churchy.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And how old do you think you were the first time that you recognized that there may be something different about how you felt towards like same-sex people, or like, like what age did you even recognize any idea that maybe you had affections that were different than what you had been raised to appreciate or know about? Like, do you remember how old you were?
I do. It was first grade. I clearly remember first grade.
And at the time, did you contemplate like, oh, but that's a wrong thought, or that's a wrong feeling? Or at the time was it like, I have these attractions and I just have them?
I knew that in my mind, I said, this is wrong because I didn't discuss it. If I didn't think it was wrong, I would have talked about it. So I can't specifically, oh, this was wrong, and I was taught this was wrong, but there was something within that said this is wrong because it's something I didn't discuss.
So like other little kids maybe like, oh, I like so and so, or someone teases somebody like, oh, who's your girlfriend? You didn't say, oh, but I don't have a girlfriend. I like little Joey over there. So by the fact that you didn't say that, okay, I understand. When do you think you were able, or do you remember when you may have ever first been, if ever, like confronted about the idea of what being gay is?
I don't remember specifically the age that I really came into my own or discovered something. I do remember that my first experience was I was 13. So I know that it had to be before then.
And did you ever feel like it was, I shouldn't say ever, during that time, did you find that there was anyone that you felt like you can talk to about it outside of maybe like any adult or anybody in your life that had authority, like your parents?
No, not at all.
So, and I know I'm jumping quickly to like, when did you maybe know that you were gay or you were attracted to same-sex people? What was your spiritual life like, as far as your understanding of who God is and becoming a Christian? What was that kind of journey? Did you at a very young age?
So it was really, it was actually traumatic because you are trying to live a life that you feel pleasing to Christ, but at the same time, you're dealing with this struggle or what you see to be as a struggle, and they don't line up according to what you have been taught. And so it's a constant battle. And there wasn't really true, there wasn't a true letting or coming together until I moved to Atlanta.
Wow. Okay. So
And I moved to Atlanta when I was 28.
So prior to that, because you and I definitely talked and you shared about like the authentic self. So let me say like the representative. So the representative, Chris, as like experiencing like church as a kid, do you remember like walking, like how old you are when you walked up and asked, say, I want to be a Christian, when you got baptized? And what did you think at the time you understood about even like, what does it mean to make, to become a Christian?
I was 4th grade when I came to Christ. And so that's why it was such a struggle with the thoughts that were going on in my head. And it was like a constant battle because I knew what I was taught. I knew that, okay, I am in fourth grade. I've given my life to Christ, but I know I have these feelings. And that's not right. So something is clearly wrong with me.
Ah.
Unlike others, I've never had a thought of suicide or anything like that. None of that. But I still thought, what's wrong with me?
Wow. Well, I'm gonna put a pin in that, first of all, because Jennifer Bliss is like screaming you out. I told you she would come on. She said,
What's up, Jen?
and I'm gonna bring Salita in so we can maybe sequentially go down memory lane. She did do a full out shout out. Hey fam, hey Jennifer Bliss, thank you always for supporting. I love it. And Carissa Kipley, she was the first to comment with the heart. She's a friend of mine. Actually, she was in high school. We went to high school together, and she was. I call Carissa like my true Christian friend. I think she was one of my first real Christian friends, and I went to go visit her in San Diego 5-6 years ago. And when she told me that she had come into this enlightenment, I would say, about different things when it came to the gay and lesbian community, and I was just looking like, this is Carissa Kipley, the one who went to a little Christian school in Tennessee for college. And so she was actually one of the first Christians that I ever met who just shared with me that she had evolved in her thinking in a way that I was just like, oh, wow, okay. So hi, Carissa. You got all these. So thank you, Chris, for sharing. So you got saved in fourth grade. You tell in first grade that you were attracted to boys, but you didn't think it was right. And a lot of you didn't reconcile that intersectionality between your salvation and, and I say attraction broadly, because I don't know, that's how I typically talk anyway. But being gay and loving Jesus until you're like coming to Atlanta at 28. So I'm gonna put that pin in there, and I'm gonna go over to Salita. Now, Salita, why does someone tell me you weren't like a girl, a little churchy girl growing up? Or maybe you were. I don't know. Maryland got some happening churches, so
they do, but I was not a part of that family. Like I wouldn't say like I grew up in the church. I got saved at the age of 11. And so that's when like real church started like taking place in my life. But I'll just share this. Well, first of all, so much. Thanks for sharing, Chris. Shout out to Jay Bliss, that's dope. And also shout out to your friend that you were talking about, Hope, because I really think that that's how it happens is you meet somebody that you trust, whose heart that you know, and they begin to communicate how their heart has been changed towards this topic of queerness and Christian. And then all of a sudden I feel like there is permission to think differently. But sometimes we get in like this bubble of thought, this think tank that's the same. And so we don't ever feel like we have the permission to think differently about the topic, So anyway, I feel like that's just happening all around. This would not be the first conversation I've had with old, church members and church friends that I knew for sure 100% did not agree with, gay lifestyle or queerness in any way, shape, or form. So anyway, I'm just glad that the discussions are happening and glad to be a part. I wanted to share this, this graphic that I made. Sorry for all my moving around earlier, but
no problem.
This graphic that I made basically kind of outlines how my faith has evolved.
Ooh, I missed and removed the wrong person. I'm sorry, sweetie. Bring that graphic up again. I may just let you have the whole screen because I want to be able to.
Oh, I like Chris. Oh, but how things have evolved as I've gotten older, and you can see like my age being smaller at the top, and as I got older, the rules became less. And I would just say it's not about like my faith being diminished in any way, shape, or form, or my relationship with Jesus being diminished in any way, shape, or form. That's not what happened, but it's all of the rules and the extra, as I increased in age, that decreased and it became very simple. And it's love God, love people, the greatest commandment, and there's so much that we attach to that creates this space that tells people that they can't be themselves. And it's like, once I was able to settle into that, that was part of the journey of like being able to come into myself. But I'll just say, from the beginning, I'll just say that my journey, gender identity and sexual identity and sexual orientation are two different things, right? So how do I identify in my gender? How do I want to present versus who I am actually attracted to sexually? And I'll say that my journey started with not anything sexual, and so many people's don't. That's a whole nother problem, is that we just start with sex. Like, we just start with putting even young kids that are just showing signs of being queer, we just put them in the bedroom. That's where we start. And we never have any other kind of conversation.
Wow.
But
that's a good point.
I would say mine started with my gender identity. That's what I was wrestling with for maybe the first 20 years of my life. Was I don't feel like a girl like all these other girls. I could tell by age 5, 6, I could tell that I wasn't the same. And then by age 9, that's when I started really seeing the separation between myself and other girls around me, where our interests diverged. Our desires diverged, the way we dressed diverged, how I felt comfortable. And that's what I was battling with, was how come I don't fit in with these girls? And how come I'm not a boy, but I feel more comfortable with the boys and I get along better with them? What's up with that? How come when I see another girl that's like me, and I'll just go ahead and describe myself as masculine center MOC, if I encountered another MOC girl, why was I attracted to her? Not in a way, not sexually attracted to her, but attracted to her in a way of, wait,
she understands me, maybe.
Yeah, we're the same. But why are we the same? And why do I want to be her friend? Why do I want to hang out with her?
Oh, wow.
That was my initial struggle. And then I'll just throw this out there. I did early on experience some abuse as a child, a little like some molestation. And a lot of times we try to say that people are queer because of that. And it took years for me to unravel who I was just innately from the message that I was that way because of what happened to me. There's so many queer people that have never been abused, have never been molested, and have this attraction. And the message, putting those two together, the absent father message, the abuse message, and then saying that's why you have these attractions, is a very problematic message. And it took years and years for me to, first of all, deal with healing from that trauma. And then once healing from that, realizing, but I'm still who I am. And I've always been who I am. And it wasn't because of that. So,
wow.
You have gender identity things trying to sort themselves out well into my teen years. And by the time I was a teenager, I knew full well that whatever they said I was going to grow out of wasn't going anywhere.
So did people just say oh, you're a tomboy? Or
yeah, and I hated that.
Sometimes when it comes to women, and I know you've only lived your life, but when it comes to, yes. And I use that broad word attraction because I agree with you. It's not about just the idea of what your sexual intimate partnerships have been. It's you don't start off, anybody does it. I mean, no, I know someone who identifies as lesbian has never had any sexual partner. Yeah. So I liked how you said that. I didn't think about that. But for you, it started off as a gender question of why am I a different type of girl? And why am I attracted and want to be friends with people who seem like me? I think that's really, really strong. Particularly, that is very true. I know I've shared that with people routinely? That's the question I usually ask, is like, especially, I guess my point was like, do you think it's easier for a woman who's dealing with same-sex attraction or being tomboyish in this world, especially as we go into you sharing about your intersectionality, do you think it may be even more accepted or easier for a woman to like openly even share that there's like, I may have a little bit of desire for girls over here than say it is for men? Or is that like something you couldn't answer because that you don't know what this struggle is?
Well, I do want to throw out this disclaimer. We kind of touched on it just briefly. You kind of said it, but I wrote down to make sure that I say that, I can't speak for everybody. My story is my story. And I don't represent the whole community, but, I do, just want to say that there do seem to be some allowances for women. Like if you look at hip hop, if you look at sports, why is it such a big deal that the first pro NFL player, openly admits that he's gay, but in the WNBA, like it's par for the course. So there may appear to be some weight in that way, but as it relates to growing up and as it relates to finding acceptance, I don't know that any one of us has it any easier. Like we are all trying to find acceptance. We're all trying to find community, and we're all trying to be able to look at someone else and look at others and say, I see myself in you and you see yourself in me and I belong. But oftentimes queer individuals, whether you're male or female, the message isn't that I see myself in you and I belong. The message is something about you is different and you need to fix it because it doesn't fit my narrative of what I think your life is supposed to look like and be, and how you are supposed to present and show up in this world, So I don't know. That's just it. So I would just say this in big blocks. My journey as it relates to my sexuality and my faith was first, like, why am I different? Second, well, I am different and I think I like girls, and in my faith, that's wrong. So I need to figure that out. I need to like pray it away, fast it away, ex-gay group it away, road to recovery it away.
Road to recovery.
No, I've been through the ringer, like as it relates to actual groups and organizations that promote an ex-gay agenda. I've actually put myself in those environments, and I've been coached to put myself in those environments from Christian leadership that I trusted, because this was wrong and you have to get it out. You need to do something about it. So
I have a question for you.
Journey. Oh yeah.
So do you feel like church leaders and church leadership, they put that on you? And this is kind of a rhetorical question, but you feel like they put it on you to make them comfortable or to make them look better or make them feel better? Was it really about the healing process?
I think that I put it on myself and they put it on me because we genuinely believe that that's what the word was saying is holy. Like there was a genuine belief that when I read this text, what I'm interpreting from it and what I'm getting from it is that this lifestyle is an abomination. And for that reason, do everything that you can to rid yourself of that aspect or deny yourself that, or admit that you still have these attractions, but make a conscious decision to do something different, which never works. And we can talk about that later. But it was that journey of now I need to rid myself of it. And then I moved, the next phase of that journey was, well, I still don't feel like this is a lifestyle I can pursue, but I have other queer friends. I have people that I really love that are queer and also Christian, and I affirm them, so it started with being able to look at others and accept them. Well, accept first, then move into affirmation of others. And then eventually I could move into doing it for myself. But it was a long
journey
process. And I'll also say, I got married in the midst of that process. I got married and was honest with the person that I got married and said, hey, I have these attractions, like I'm attracted to women, but I don't believe that that's a lifestyle I can pursue. I don't believe that that's something that I'm supposed to pursue. I don't discount it in XYZ friend who is gay and is going to marry a woman. Fine for her. For me, I just think that my journey means that I have to turn my back on it. How do you feel about it? Oh, no problem. You fine. Let's get married. No problem. But and so and I was committed to that. I would have seen that through to the end. But when the marriage failed, not because of my sexuality, just for other reasons, then it was like, you know what? You're about to have a window to live your life as a single person again. And how's that going to look? Are you going to do this again? Or are you going to be like your full and authentic self? And I say to something that Chris was saying earlier, about if you're not being yourself, if you can't really show up as your whole self, like, what are you doing? Like you can't even really experience the love of God the way that you want, because you're not even accepting who you've been created to be. And I say, like, one of the main revelations for that for me was I am robbing every environment that I go into. I rob it when I don't show up as my full self. And I allow the environment to rob me because I'm making myself uncomfortable to make people in that environment comfortable. They comfortable, but I'm uncomfortable.
And I can't do it.
Wow.
Yes, I'm constantly altering my walk, my talk, the way that I clap. I've been told I clap like a boy. Like, there's been all these messages and all these things that I've done in an attempt to make others comfortable. To be quite honest, the fact that my hair is long was a way to communicate to the world that I'm a girl, because I wanted to be able to present how I want, but I don't want you to call me a boy. So I'm going to grow my hair long and I'm going to wear dangly ear. I only recently started wearing studs, but I was like, I'm going to wear a little dangle earring and grow my hair long, just so that that I'm a girl and you won't misgender me when I walk up to whatever. I was doing it for you, not for me. Anyway.
No, I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to ask Chris the same. And guys, thank you guys so much. I'm like, yes, open the door. I'm like knocking it in. And while I'm asking my question, I'm going to note that Jennifer Bliss also said, hey, Salita, we have a lot of good family on here. Ron Mack.
What's up, buddy?
And just so much. Monique Yarbrough sends her love too. Yes. We're going to have t-shirts. I yet to do the real Destiny reunion I want to do, but God's working on me. I think it's interesting. When you answered Chris's question, I didn't know what you were going to say, but what I took from it also was that the people you trusted and also your own genuine desire to want, and you didn't say it like this, but your own genuine desire to just want to please God. Am I right? That you went through, you took yourself through these process, but I was really surprised, I guess, in how you shared it, because I was like, so do you feel, even if sometimes everyone wasn't of the best intentions, that your heart and the people's heart who directed you in those processes were really trying to do what they thought was best? Or were they trying to control you? Or do you think it's a little bit of both? Or it just depends on the situation? It's too broad maybe to say?
I think that's a good question. And I think for the most part, and I want to make this very clear, that I think that most people really had the best heart and the best intention, thinking that they were communicating something that was in line with God's heart. And I also received it in that way. I was like, I also want to be in line with God's heart. So what do I have to do? And because I was so clearly MOC, and it didn't matter how often I tried to dumb that down or hide it or dress it up or whatever, for whatever event or speaking engagement I did, the church we attended, it still came off. It still emanated from me. There was no hiding it, so because of that, I also became the resident, hey, this teenager is presenting MOC and is probably same-sex attracted. Will you mentor her? You know, I was constantly being brought young ladies to mentor them, and I regurgitated the same message to them that was given to me. If you love God, you know, this is an aspect of your life that you're going to have to willingly deny, that you're going to have to suppress and put to the side, that you're going to have to ignore and act like doesn't exist.
But I'm sure the language you used was in sacrifice of your flesh, dying to self.
Well, those are the terms you use, but that is not an appropriate message to communicate to anybody that is in this position. That's not an appropriate message. You're essentially telling somebody that the way that you have been and felt your whole life, something that you did not create yourself, that you did not create, and therefore you cannot destroy, is wrong. And Chris talked about, like, fortunately, he wasn't in a position where he ever felt like he needed to take his life, but I've gotten there. I know exactly what that feels like, to be so depressed and to feel like this isn't working. And we are actually losing people. People are actually dying because of these messages. It's so harmful.
That for me is what makes me say, if a church, because like you felt like people did it because they felt like that is what God wanted, they had the heart of God. Like a lot of times people had part of themselves, and it wasn't about necessarily what God wanted, but I recognize that you have a gift. And that, talking about me specifically, I recognize Chris has a gift. So I want him to perform these gifts in my church, but I can't have him in my church performing if he is openly whatever. So I have to talk and have these conversations with him, because I have to be able to make it clear that he has said that that is not who he is. And so I think a lot of times people do, or leaders have done a lot of this for their own glory, to make themselves look big, to make themselves look good, because they want to be known as the pastor who willingly has somebody serving in ministry who is same gender loving. They didn't want that.
When you were sharing that with me in our pre-call, I was like, wow, like the idea that a leader would tell you basically privately, do what you're gonna do, but just don't let it be known.
Don't let it be known
that you're same sex loving. And you know, the both of you, even in different ways, although in different ways, I felt it was really interesting to talk to you, because unlike, say, the often touted story of the church-going queer Christian, is that they're in the closet and maybe people think they're feminine or masculine, but there's never been any huge reveal. And then, like, sometime older in life, they're revealed. And I think based on your own testimonies, and Salida, I know you've done spoken word pieces that alluded to, like, especially your gender identity issues, that both of you guys are different, at least in my experience of you, because it was like, I won't say known, but you had lived a publicly, you know, same-sex loving life, or at least in your, I love how you, and I am trying to learn the difference between gender expression, sexuality, sexual orientation, but like, say what Salida was talking about, like, I know that, like, you're the MOC, male, what is that, centered? What does that stand for?
Masculine of center.
Masculine of center. So it was not, in a large part, say, when I connected with Chris, like, oh my goodness, you're gay? Or were you gay? Are you gay now? And then you both, in my experience of you, at least, you may not have used that word delivered, because I know that's a Pentecostalism in me, but it's like, I've come to a decision that I love Jesus more than this sexual identity or this gender identity or this thing that I've been taught is a perverted thing, which is a little bit different, because I felt like you're out of the closet. You never went in the closet. You were never in the closet, but you had public pronouncements of, this is not what I'm going to choose. This is not what I'm going to, this same-sex attraction is not what I'm going to, I'm using that word choose, right? Because I'm choosing not to turn my attractions in this way because I believe that God, or I believe what I'm being taught is the right way to consider that that's not a good thing. And I just think that's very different from a lot of people's experiences. And so, Chris, I wanted to ask, because Chris was so honest with me yesterday. He was like, I never not. But like Chris and I promised that I didn't want to like make it about me, but we had a conversation because in the church we went to, Destiny, I was
You're a gatekeeper.
I was a gatekeeper. Okay, thank you. Couldn't think of the word. So sort of like, oh, this talented guy, is he gay? Does he, we need someone to talk to him. And I think the first lady was going to talk to him like, no, let me talk to him. Because I felt like if she talks to him, he may like run away. And so we had a really honest conversation. And being that I knew of him at University of Florida in Florida, I had this sense already maybe what was going on. And he was very honest with me about like, yeah, I can't remember the words. I don't think we use words like gay, but it's like, yeah, I've been with men, but I can take it or leave it. And yeah, and then, remember our praise team, you had to sign something about you would not act in any way to bring shame on the church. So what I got from that conversation was like, yes, he's had experience with men. No, he has no problem in putting that down, or that he may already have. I think that's what I was told. That you're like, oh no, almost like it was like a curiosity in college, but you've come to yourself. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's all I need to know. All right, And so then fast forward, I'm having a conversation, and I don't know. And I told Chris, I don't know. Maybe this is gossip, or maybe he posted it on Facebook. He's like, I'm saved, sanctified, and gay. And I was just like, what? How is that even? I'm like, what happened, Chris? What happened to your deliverance? And then like from then on, I was like, okay. Chris,
and what did I tell you yesterday? I was like, listen.
You're like, you never stopped.
I never stopped. I just was very private with it. As I am now, I'm very private with who I deal with. However, I'm not ashamed of who I am. So because of who I deal with, that's still, I think your business is your business and you should keep it as such. But you also have to think about, Hope, the amount of lives that you hurt and affect when you live a lie, especially if you get married, if you have children, and unlike Salida, she was honest. Most men are not with their, if they choose to get married or whatever, they're not. And I also told you the other day, I don't know anybody who used to be gay.
Yes, you were telling me that. You don't know anybody who used to be gay. And I was sort of shocked at that.
Like they may try to cover it up, they try to mask it, they may try to hide it, they put it under rock. But I don't know anybody who used to be gay.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you know, but we did talk about, and I'll be very careful, people who maybe they don't even adhere to an identity. And maybe that's what I is, right? You identify whatever you want to. But they are married to an opposite gender person, right? So a man married to a woman. And that doesn't mean that person no longer is attracted to men, but they could be faithful in that relationship. And they also could be attracted to that particular opposite sex person. And you and I talked briefly about a friend of mine who I was shocked because I thought that meant that he was delivered. And you guys, if y'all not in the churchy world, that sounds so crazy. But like the belief that you have this stronghold, deliverance is actually a true thing where you have a stronghold that you believe that is not of God and is strong, and God will take you out of it, like literally take the chains off. So that word delivered for my non-churchy people or non-Pentecostal, non-charismatic, non-denominational, that's what it means. So when I was talking to him, I was shocked because I thought that him being honest with his spouse and that him going to counseling, and it's been years that meant he was good. And when I realized that's not what it meant, it sort of messed me up in the head. Like, okay, what does that mean? And Chris, when you said I don't know anybody who used to be gay, and I was just like, because I started ticking off people in my head who I would say, yeah, they used to be gay, or they used to be confused. If I'm honest, how I would categorize it in my conversations, they were confused. Or what Salita said, because of abuse, they're confused, or fatherless issues. So that was just really powerful that you said, I don't know anybody who used to be gay.
I don't. And another thing, Hope, is I look at, so I also, in this time, you look at your friendship circle, and you have to have a strong network of friends. So I tell people all the time, 97, 98% of my friends are heterosexual, because I don't choose my friends based on their sexuality.
And you have some really cute girlfriends,
Oh yeah, man, they bad.
You have some really cute girlfriends that make me think
I also have some very handsome young men as friends. I mean,
you do
the prettiest. He on here. He think he the prettiest man alive. He's not, but I'm just saying. Who has always had this journey with me? So you got Ron G. These are people that you know. You got Marlon, who they have known all of this most of the time. They maybe didn't discuss it with you all or anybody else, but they've known. And we have our conversations about it. And even if they have questions, they'll ask. But, Ron is like whatever. Listen, I love you for you. And that's what I try to get people to understand, is that I can't effectively love someone else if I really can't love who I am. If I cannot love, so you know how you said, people said, love thy neighbor as thyself. If I don't love myself, how can I really love my neighbor?
And you're talking about you as a person. Like, yes. If you don't love yourself, how can you be expected to love anybody else?
How can I love anybody else? Or how can I give myself to somebody else? So ultimately, when if in those areas when I was dating women and doing all of this and even having sex with women, while I enjoyed it, I knew that a lot of that is not really what I wanted. But I did some things way back in the day, just to please other people. And until I became one with myself and realized, you know what, Chris, you're okay just how God made you. You are okay. And as a matter of fact, you're better being who God made you. You're better being that person than you are presenting a facade and living a lie and being fake. Because a lie is a lie. And so the scripture tells us, about liars. All liars will have their part in the lake of fire. Guess what? That doesn't mean all liars who tell lies out of their mouth, all liars live a lie. That's still a lie.
Let me ask you, Chris, and Salita, I think you could probably teach a master class, because you were definitely laying some foundational statements that really help bounce off my head, at least. Chris, I also defer to you, because in my mind, you're the churchy one. You probably could tell me what scriptures people have thrown up over the years about why this is sin, or the comparison to a number of things that may be things that people struggle with, using that stronghold word again, maybe all of their life, but is not pleasing to God.
Abomination.
An abomination. Abomination includes running to,
but we only talk about the abomination when it comes to homosexuality. We don't talk about any other abomination that is in the Bible. We don't do that. And and this is another show for another time, that when we really, really, really want to talk about Leviticus, things like that, I've had an opportunity to do a little homework, and things are not as...
You guys, he is an educator, so...
right? Things are not as they are presented. And if we really want to talk about it, we can dig into that at
I
some.
may have to have you on a part two because I was like, I definitely am curious by way of, and I was going to start with you and then Salida, even though I think Salida sort of shared her post marriage, gave her like a new question of like, how do I want to present myself? How do I want to go back to being single? But Chris, with you, you mentioned, and I said I put a pin in it, that you felt like you coming to Atlanta and then or maybe around 28, you started reconciling your, sexual attraction or identity with your faith. And I was just wondering, how did that happen for you? And what, if anything, were tools that you used to be at peace with things, if that makes sense? Like, was it some revelation? Was it just like, listen, I'm tired, so hook or
I
crook,
think for
this is
me,
who I
it was
am?
for me, I moved from Florida to a different state.
Okay.
I was able to start new and be who I really am. So even when I moved to Atlanta, the first church I went to in Atlanta, I went there for 3 years, and I ended up dating someone there, and it got kind of nasty at the end. So I ended up leaving that church, and I found out about Destiny from a friend of mine who is gay, and he was like, "Yo, you should really come check out this church with me." And I went, and I loved it. Like I loved it. Then I met the most amazing people. I met some people that, um, I have friendships with. I met 3 guys in particular who we have conversation every week. Like literally, I was in Ron Mack's wedding. Like me, Ron, Marlon, G, we're together. We have conversation every week. And so when I got to Atlanta, I did that at 28, about 31. I joined Destiny and just really became close with some people who, even though a lot of times some of it we didn't talk about, but we talk about it now, and they're like, "Well, yeah, we knew. Like, we knew. It wasn't." We. I
Oh,
was.
like don't ask, don't tell, or
I
like
was in Atlanta with Marlon and Ron Mack 3 weeks ago, and I was like, "Man, we always knew. Yeah, we didn't care. Like we knew." And when you find those type people, and you come to a point in your life where I'm tired of living for other people. And I believe I shared with you, Hope, when I came back to Gainesville, because I moved back here to really take care of my parents. Came to Gainesville, and I went into a church, and I was in that church, and the pastor asked to have a meeting with me years ago, and I remember him saying, um, it's on social media that you're in a relationship with a man, whatever, whatever. And at the end of that, it was like, okay, I get it. You are on, that's who you are, but it brings shame on the church. And so I ask that you not do that publicly. And that's when I left the church because I was like, listen, you are really asking me, and as the leader said early, you're asking me to be uncomfortable so that you are comfortable. And that for me is a problem. Went to the next church that I went to. I had a conversation with the pastor. I went to him. I said, "This is who I am. This is da 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 da." And his words were, and he is a very heterosexual man. It's like, anybody say anything to you about it? Anybody you send them to me, you tell them to come to me, and I'll handle it. Not that he was being nasty to them in any type way, but he recognized is my walk with God is my walk with God, and as long, and he doesn't even preach or bash or anything like that homosexuality. He preaches God and lets that fall where it is.
Let me ask you, Chris, would
Mhm.
have it made, well, all of it would have probably ended in the same way, but that pastor who was like, basically, from at least what you shared, he wasn't like, "Oh, Chris, you need to change. God's not
No.
pleased with you." He was just like, "Don't let other people know." Do you think you would have respected him a little bit more if he would have, in some way, was like, "Brother, we got to pray through this because I'm concerned about your soul," versus "I'm concerned about how this looks."
I could have accepted it. Yes, I could have accepted it better, because I would have, at that point, I would have been like, okay, even though I knew it wouldn't have changed me, I would have been like, his heart is right. Like, he's trying to do the right thing. But for you to say, essentially, just don't let anybody know, that means like, well, what the hell are you doing over here? You probably stuff. And so and I will say this, and I have no shame in saying this, and I told you, I felt like some of the stuff that I endured while at our church in Atlanta was partly because of some of the stuff that was already going on. And, that's...
I know you're being very careful. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm very careful.
Like, what is he about to say? But
no,
but some of the pulling you to the side may be
correct.
reflective of there was a lot of stuff going on, almost like a hit dog will holler. Or
correct.
Like in the case of, say, even like Bishop Long, I remember Bishop Long, I think he may not have been the only, but that was like the biggest church I heard of that did like an anti-same-sex marriage march. Like other churches
but I'm sleeping with the men.
But I was just like, he did a big old march. Like, he didn't just do it quickie in a sermon. He did this whole thing, and he's supposedly having sex with boys. I was just like, so sometimes, even leaders, right? They can get tough on the things they may struggle with, and or
not extend the same grace. And I think that for me is a problem. When you
not extend
the same grace that you want to receive. Even if you haven't done anything, what grace would you want to receive?
Wow. I know I don't have my glasses and it's past 6:30 and you guys both have a 6:30 in. If I could just take a few more minutes, I would love to ask Salita, because Salita, I feel like you poured out and you probably pooped, but and I may love to have you guys back on, maybe where a more specific conversation, and I really have tried to let this be you share your story, but now that you are living, living differently and choosing differently, and are you a part of a church? Do you feel like you still identify as Christian? Do you feel like you're a person without, like, where do you see yourself if at all, as far as becoming a part of a church community? Are you a part of one? Do you think that's something you'll seek? Or you're sort of like, I'm good, just me and God right now, because of, whatever reason, maybe you haven't found a place? Or where do you see yourself now as a Jesus loving, you gave me a new term, MOC, whatever it is. Salita, how about that?
In lieu of other labels, which I don't aspire to at all. But
okay, well, good. Like,
well, yeah, I'm a Christian that's never changed, never wavered. And I believe in the church, the body of Christ, and the family and the community that comes with that, and the health that comes in knowing and being known. All of that is always going to be important to me. I think the thing that has shifted is how that looks, whether that means that I have to actually go through some membership process in a building with these people versus am I in community? Am I surrounded by other Christians that can check me and that I can check? So that's been the most important thing for me. I do very much want to be a part of a church family again. I very much want my daughter to, go to kids' church and to be comfortable in that environment. You know, when I worship and raise my hand, I wanted to know what all that is about, and, you know, and engage.
Okay, you're about to make me cry.
Yeah, but I'll just say
Like,
that,
I didn't
you
even
know,
think about that. That's like, you
no,
want
I
your
mean,
daughter to experience
yeah, I want
what that
all of that
is.
for her, my family, my partner. You know, I want
So
us
you
to
have
be a
a
part of a
partner?
community. I have a partner. Yeah. We just
You
celebrated
got
1
a
year,
partner that
actually.
you got a partner to introduce me to?
What is it? What is it? You know,
No,
the Mecca.
I know this is prime, but this is not.
Oh, sorry. Chris, I got you.
That's
Yes.
a whole other
No,
show.
but hold on. Like, I've been holding my tongue. Y'all been like going through it, and I'm like, oh, I want to say, I want to comment, but I was just trying to let Chris talk. But I just say, you know, to answer this question fully, I want to be a part of a body. I've actually been researching churches here that are affirming, because one thing that's important to me is that when I go, because, you know, anybody that knows me, when I go and I get connected, I'm going to get connected. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to serve, you know, I'm going to go deep, and I need to make sure that there's no aspect of my lifestyle that you're looking at that's going to have you put up your hand and say, you can't do that. You can't be a part of that ministry. You're a little too visible in this role. You're a little, you know, so that's something that I'm really looking for. And then apart from all of that, and then apart from all the foolishness of the church that we came from, there was so much excellence at that church. Sometimes it becomes hard to like go into another environment where you want the music and the message to be good. Like, you know, so
you either get one or the other. You don't hardly
you're getting one or the other. You know, which one? You know. So, you know, I definitely can't ignore that part too. That becomes a little harder. But I will say that I'm in talks with another you know, queer Christian that I know, and we would love to create a small environment, you know, in lieu of sometimes being able to find that, you know, starting up, you know, it could be really small, like a book club, and then become a small group, and then become a worship gathering, you know, but I want a safe space. I need a safe space for my family, you know, don't want to enter into a place where you then find out that some part of you is not okay, you know, there's enough of that. But in lieu of that, I have community. I'm not isolated. I'm not an island. And I think that's the most important. That's the heart of God. Is the church is his family, is his body. And I am a part of that. And I am engaged in that, you know, so long answer to your question.
No. What other things did you want to comment on if you haven't heard
so many
things? I'm more concerned that like I want to bring y'all back one day, and I don't want you to be like, she told me an hour and I was on there for 2 hours.
No. I'll go down. I do some quick bullets. First is I've never known someone that used to be gay. And I just want to highlight, you know, that Exodus International was the largest ex-gay ministry, and that I even researched and was sent to, you know, join this and see if they can help you. And the leader of that actually had to write an open apology letter because he admitted that all these years he was still attracted to men. His whole message had been that I've turned my back, that I'm ex-gay, that, you know, I'm married now, I'm no longer gay, and whatever. And he had to like basically publicly admit that that was never true. So just want to throw that out. And then another thing is like the scriptures. I mean, I'll say this about the scriptures. I've studied all of the ones. I think there's 7 key ones that the church likes to point out in order to oppress people that are queer. And every single one of them have a response. Even the word abomination, the fact that it was even put in, like it was put in long before it was put in recent texts, and it didn't even exist in the original translation of that particular scripture. Anyway, we can go down, we can destroy all of those if we want, but the point I want to make about that is not to be cerebral in that way. I think that all of these conversations, you automatically start in an unhealthy space and at a disservice if you feel like I've got to somehow disprove all these scriptures for us to be on the same page. If that's where we start, and we already starting wrong. Like, this is a heart issue. There's so many other things in the Bible that we have learned to apply our hearts and our minds to, so that we can accept people first without them representing the letter of the line, as it relates to divorce. We've softened on the issue of divorce. Like, we do not automatically disqualify people because they are divorced. Yes, we recognize that it is painful, and we understand what the scripture says about divorce, but there's just so many different things that, we've learned to apply our common sense to as it relates to people that live here in this messed up world, and that have to endure what's happening here. And we haven't been able to apply it to queerness. And that's the problem. Not me trying to disprove a scripture or break it down, or, exegete the text, or, like the Greek and the Hebrew. Like, we could do that, but you should just do that on your own. When you talk to me, we need to just have a heart conversation. Let's start there, So that was the other thing that I wanted to respond to.
Well, thank you so much. Because I don't know how well I've achieved it. I wanted this to be a heart conversation. And while talking to you and Chris individually afterwards, I just wanted to just cry because, I loved, Salita, something you were saying when we were off. That's why I try not to talk too much before a show, because there's conversations that are good that I had before, and I don't know if it was said in the show. But whatever we were talking about, you sort of hit it on the head with, it's not even necessarily about a person affirming that what I am or who I am is okay. And I was like, I don't think she would mind, but for me, what inspired me to do this show, besides watching all these documentaries during Pride Month, was my godchildren's mom saying, like, what if one of my children was gay? Would you love them any differently? And it like made my heart stop, because I'm like, no, they're not going to be gay. I rebuke that in Jesus' name type. And then she's like, well, what if, one of my daughters, she marries a woman? Are you not going to go to the wedding? And I was just like dumbfounded, because if that question would have been about anybody else, I would have been like, no, I'm not going to a wedding. But it was like, the first thing I thought about was like, oh my God, I would say no in my head, because I'm like, what will other people think? What will they think that I'm endorsing? Or what's the message, But then when I thought about what would my goddaughter think, she would think I don't value her, I don't love her, I don't support her, or, her as a person making a decision. And I was just like messed up about that. And, and like a good preacher does, I just make it a part of my sermon, and I take hopeMORE show as an extension of my ministry. And I'm like, well, here I am, knowing the intentions of my heart, knowing the different things that I not only learned, studied, but bought into it and shared, including your whole diatribe, like, oh, this is an outreach of some other needed affection that's been perverted by the enemy. And I'm like, if I'm struggling, like, who? And I have, I think, a heart anyway. I always respect people. I have a friend who's trans who I tried to get on this show, whatever. And I was just talking to that person, and I was just like, I'm scared, and I really want you to be on this show because talking to you, and I'm talking to this person who was born a male and lives as a female, and at a young age got married to a female. When I say young, like 15, like got her pregnant, married her. This person said they felt that they were dishonoring God because they're a woman marrying a woman. And that blew my mind. That blew my mind. I was just like, huh? That's how much this person identified with being a woman, that as a biological, I was just like, my head hurts. This is not so simple, so easy. And now that I am helping, and I deal with victims of domestic violence, and which is very feminist oriented, like this new wave of like announcing your name and then your pronouns, and just, working with people who go by they. And I'm just like, I think the church is not ready. Like, I think they're going to wish they had, oh, she's a masculine girl and a feminine boy, because the stuff that's coming, this pansexual, blah, blah, like, just so unready. So I'm just like, I don't want a generation to feel like they have no access to Jesus.
Right.
They need to get ready.
To me, is the most important thing of anything is I need more Jesus than I need anything else. I need more Jesus than to not be racist. I need more Jesus than to not be overweight. I need more Jesus than not be a lot of things. If I have to prioritize, like Jesus is who I believe as a Jesus lover is the most important thing. And if you search after Jesus and the Holy Spirit, he says, Holy Spirit will teach you all things. And most of the time, especially when we're dealing in the Black community, especially here in the South, is not a lack of information, it's not a lack of scripture. And it definitely is, I think, a one way to start is a heart-to-heart talk, and not to pretend like I know everything because it's not my experience, or to pretend like I got this answer. Like, what is this show about? This Jesus loving queer people. I wanted to have a conversation. There's no like, okay, so the conclusion is this. I have none, because I can't say that in my heart of hearts I think any differently regarding like, Lord, the sin, not sin, what? But what I do know is that the church is not, I don't think, doing a good job of embracing people as Jesus's priority, when even if, right, what the familiar standard is that homosexuality is sin. And I'm like, if I was going to a wedding of a person who had been shacking with their boyfriend and fornicating, I wouldn't have been thinking, well, what are they going to say about that? Or if every time someone interacted with me, they felt the need to talk about gluttony and my need of deliverance of gluttony, I would not want to be around them. And I'm like, how it must feel that any super flamboyant, effeminate man or masculine woman come into a church environment and they're going to expect potentially someone to try to deliver them and discuss what they think is wrong with them, and they're an absolute stranger and you know nothing. And I'm like, why is it that when it comes to queer loving or queer people that we feel so boldly incalcitrant to always try to make stands and push people away and make people change? And in order to show up, you got to change this to show up. And it's definitely convicting. It's making me think. It's making me be honest with my own stuff. And so I really appreciate, Salita, you sharing it. And Chris, thank you for being the first person to say, yep, I'm down. And I was like, really? Because I have some people that I thought would have said yes first, but I understand this is not, this is not easy conversation for a lot of people to have. And you guys were the perfect people. Chris, do you have any last things you want to say? And while you're doing that, I had to just put on the screen. You have all these people who are showing y'all love and worship hands. And Jennifer's so funny. She was telling you to preach, Salita. Thank you, Marlon. Crucial conversations. I love this. I don't want a generation to feel like they have no access to Jesus. I believe that is a lie from the pit of hell, that so many people like, we just had like him. He's not for us. And I'm just like, that's not good. Tanya, through her life and her love out there. Wendy Strickland. Oh, yes. Thank you both. You guys have helped. I'm hoping that this spurs conversation, and I'm going to have you on, even if it's not about some kind of queer topic, because I already told you, Chris has shared, he's an entertainer. He's a singer. He has a show coming on Juneteenth. I may have to make it out there in Gainesville.
Come on down.
Salita, she does a lot of things, and she also is a bicycle enthusiast. So when I get this first 100-pound down, I may have to try cycling again with the nice padded biker shorts. So they're way more than what she said. We're not going to the bedroom, y'all. But for them to allow me to sort of like get in their business, their private business, and share, I thank you for trusting me. But Chris, if you have any last words, and thank you guys for staying on after an hour. I appreciate it.
Faith, hope, love. The greatest of these is love. And if we lead with love, if we start with love, things will work out.
Wow. Look at you, Sage. Amen. So Amen. I'm gonna definitely have you guys come back, because there's questions out there that we're not going to get into. One was talking about celibacy. Like, what other parts of the Bible do you not listen to or like? And then Wendy Strickland was talking about you can't change a man or a woman. That's a whole nother thing. But one thing I do sort of loved about being in Atlanta, every person I dated asked about their past or asked in a different way. And I really appreciated the people who told me the truth. But love you guys. You guys stay on so I can say goodbye to you personally. Love you, hopeMORE family. Please share, and like. And if you guys are watching on the replay and you have questions, you've already heard me more than once say I'd love to have them back or go into a deeper discussion. And please comment or put questions in the box and we may get to them in a later show. And for those of you who, like me, want another type of discussion where you want to counterbalance some things, or maybe your questions you may feel like would offend in this format, we're doing an after show, my first time doing an after show at 8:30 tonight, where one of my friends, pastor, prophetess, Adrian Spain, will be talking about loving like Jesus, and she's going to be sharing her testimony of building a relationship with her gay son, who actually is a growingly, that's not a word. He's an influencer that's growing in popularity, and actually I've heard back from him. He may join us, but I'm not going to say anything who he is. Some of y'all may know him, but I'm really looking forward to that conversation with her. And for those of you who may have same gender loving family friends in the church and you're like, how do we deal? I think listening to her, again, her testimony may help us at least come to grips with how to love like Jesus loved. And Chris has already sort of wrapped that up. Like, start with love and you almost never go wrong. Love you so much, hopeMORE family. And I mean it. Hopefully see you at 8:30. Share, and like. Goodbye. Bye. They're saying bye.